thing. Slow down, move over, and drive like your life and their life depends on it.
I'm Len Casper, the voice of the White Sox Radio Network. Follow the Sox across central Illinois on the Big 1520 WHOW.
Sponsored by Kirby Medical Center, Burgess and Klein Insurance, JW Painting, Dupes and Heating and AC, and First Mid, all in Monticello, and ServPro of Piatt DeWitt counties, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction.
News time is 7 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday morning. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, in the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Well, let's start our day by looking at some of those cumulative rainfall totals from across central Illinois here from the last several days. Of course, derecho and tornadoes rolled through central Illinois on Thursday, but then after that, we still had more rainstorms come through. So let's take a look at those rainfall totals from the last several days. We had nearly 2 inches of rain here in Clinton, 1.94 officially, according this morning to cocoraz.org, 1.94 inches in Lincoln in Logan County, a few miles outside of Lincoln, north of Mount Pulaski. 1 1/5 inches of rainfall over the last several days. In Warrensburg, about 1 1/3 inches in the western portion of Macon County from the last few days. The far southern portion of Piatt County, just outside of Bemint, about 2 1/10 total inches of rainfall. The farther north you go, though, the more rain they got. Nearly 2.5 inches in the southern portion of Bloomington Normal, 2.8 inches in Normal, just outside of downtown. 2.83 inches of rainfall off GE Road outside of Normal. Around 2.5 inches of rain just outside of, just off of Towanda Barnes Avenue, just outside of Bloomington Normal to the south and east, kind of between Bloomington Normal and Downs from the weekend. Speaking of Leroy, 2.4 inches of rainfall this week over the last several days. Nearly an 1 8/8 inches between Leroy and Hayworth along 136 in the southern portion of McLean County, north of Bellflower along 54 in the very southeast corner of Bloomington Normal, 1 1/10 inches of rainfall. Let's see, Congerville in the southern portion of Woodford County, just north of the McLean County line off the interstate. 3 1/10 inches of rainfall, 3.5 inches of rain just off of the Illinois River and about just between the Illinois River and Germantown Hills. This is the southern portion of, or I should say the very south and west corner of Woodford County, maybe more western than south, but nonetheless, western Woodford County, 3.5 inches of rainfall. Peoria County near Trevoli, 1 9/10 inches of rainfall. Champaign County, 1 8/8 inches in Champaign, 1.5 inches in Urbana, 1.5 inches in St. Joseph the last several days, over 1 inch of rain in Rantoul in northern Champaign County. Northern Moultrie County, 2.5 inches of rainfall there. Shelbyville reporting 3.5 total inches the last several days here in central Illinois. 5.5 inches. This is all the way in Clark County near Marshall. 5.5 inches down in that portion of Illinois, 2.5 inches in Newman in far eastern eastern Douglas County. That's east of Tuscola. Let's see, other notable rainfall totals. This is getting into Marshall County, but 4.33 inches of rain along the river, the Illinois River, along County Road 1400 in northern Marshall County. 3 inches of rain just outside of Watseka in Iroquois County. from the last several days as well. Notable, though, we were talking last week to Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln. He noted that in Lincoln, they were almost 3 inches short of their monthly average for rainfall in the month of June. So it will be interesting to see where Lincoln, the National Weather Service site there, where they end up in terms of June and their average rainfall for the month. But, an inch and 9/10, that's got to go a long ways in at least helping make up for some of that lack of moisture we saw in June. An inch and 9/10, and Clinton is certainly going to do the same. Although, you wonder, a lot of that rain did fall very quickly over the last several days. So how much is it? How much is runoff? How much actually got into the ground? We'll hear from Ed Shimon. Let me check my calendar real fast. I think I am set to speak with him next week if we can't get a hold of him this week. But Ed will kick us off next week on the morning show. So I guess stay tuned for that. About 2 inches of rain north of Danville in Vermilion County in the eastern part of the state. 3.5 inches of rain just outside of Virginia in Cass County. The last several days. Jacksonville, 3 1/5 inches of rain in Morgan County from the last several days as well. Much needed rain, no question about it. Those storms did not help for a lot of folks' situations, but some much needed rain nonetheless. And as always, those rainfall totals courtesy of CocoRoz.org. That's the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. That's CocoRoz.org. Forgive me, I did not get out to check our rain gauge here at the Big Red Barn. I know Thursday we did get a 1/2 inch of rain here at the barn, but we'll check on that later and maybe pass that along as we go through the remainder of the morning show here for today. But again, CocoRoz.org, we were able to select a range of dates. We started with last Thursday and ended, with just here today in terms of that range, and able to find all those rainfall totals again at CocoRoz.org. A great interactive map. It was easy to use, navigate and poke around and find out where the most rain fell in central Illinois one more time. That's CocoRoz.org. All right, let's get to our news here on this Monday. Local authorities are celebrating the fact we finally got some rain this past week and weekend, as it was a major concern for the safety of area residents going into the holiday. However, they are still promoting safety this 4th of July. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers reminds those illegal fireworks are not permitted in Illinois, but if you're going to be shooting them off, he heavily advises excessive caution.
While it's a fun time of year, and we certainly appreciate the celebration and adore that, we do have an ordinance, a fireworks ordinance in the city of Clinton that bans fireworks at any time. I will admit that we're a little more relaxed on the 4th of July for those private parties and things like that, letting the kids with the sparklers and stuff. But we have to understand there's a difference between fireworks and consumer novelties, as we refer to them. So, the things that you can buy here locally, the sparklers that virtually don't have an explosive element to them. Okay. Those are novelties. Those are legal to possess. They're legal to let off. It's the fireworks that actually have an explosive element to them. Professional grade fireworks, obviously the mortars can only be administered by a certified explosive expert. Fireworks are banned in the state of Illinois. So, it's not only in the city of Clinton. We utilize a city ordinance for enforcement of that, but they are actually against the law in the state of Illinois. Those things that are purchased legally out of state, where they can be purchased legally, they become illegal once they cross the state line and they're into Illinois.
According to DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker, his office is not nearly as bombarded with calls over pyrotechnics during the 4th of July, though they still get those calls and will respond accordingly as necessary.
Since I can remember, we've had it. It seems like we always kind of have that possibility leading up to, but it seems like we always get some rain a week or two before or right around that time, and it wet, gets things a little damp and makes it okay. But I've seen on Facebook and in some news articles and stuff, people talking that if we don't get any rain coming up, there's a lot of these communities that are considering canceling their fireworks. I would hope that would tell the public that if the professionals are concerned about it and considering canceling fireworks, that, you know, these amateurs that are going to other states and buying these fireworks, that they would reconsider and hold off until it's safer. You know, obviously in Illinois, you're not supposed to be doing that anyway, but people are going to do what they're going to do. And you know, most places don't have the resources to track down everybody shooting off fire bottle rocket or playing with sparklers. Well, we get those calls as well, not as many as the city. Mm-hmm. Obviously the city is, you know, it's a more confined area, and people are you know, doing it more more population and everything. We get those calls, and usually with our area that we have to cover, a lot of times when we get in that area, people don't really know where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. And then when we get there, they're either done, or it's hard to pinpoint where they're coming from or who's doing it. You know, we just ask people to use caution. If it becomes a dangerous situation, we'll come out and tell you, you know, you need to knock it off and that type of thing. But you know, kind of like the city does, we're a little more lenient.
Chief Flowers reminds of the activities on the square for this 4th of July and plans for access to the square.
Credit to, I was contacted by Josh Thielen several months ago, informing me that his interest in taking over the 4th of July celebration on the square that had been conducted for several years by Celebrate Clinton, and shout out to them for all the wonderful things that they've done over the years. And it's my understanding that, you know, the year prior to COVID was the last year that they had done a full-blown celebration on the square. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's kind of a bring back the past in terms of that celebration. And I'm so glad to see it come back. It's a great community event, great family fun event. Kicks off on the 4th of July at 7 a.m. with a 2.2 mile walk run put on by the Crane Bennett American Legion Post 103. At 7 a.m., the 2.2 mile walk and run, and then followed up by an 8 a.m. We'll have a breakfast on the square served by, it's being coordinated by the Wapella Says Yes organization. Mm-hmm. It'll be served by their group of volunteers and also staff from the Clinton Police Department. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in years past, when Celebrate Clinton did that, we provided a free breakfast on the square that was served by the police and fire departments, and we're happy to rejoin that and be able to do that again. 9 a.m. there's an opening ceremony, and then a lot of things throughout the day. The dunk tank is coming back, bicycle decorating and a bicycle parade, a watermelon eating contest. There's going to be music on the square by DJ Michael Morrow. It's just going to be a fun-filled day. And then obviously the fireworks display still being conducted by Celebrate Clinton Association. We thank them and all the donors that make that happen. We'll have the fireworks display on the following evening, July 5th at dusk, just west of Route 51.
The 4th of July activities are taking place on the square thanks to the efforts of the Clinton American Legion, and the fireworks display is being put on thanks to the fundraising efforts of the Celebrate Clinton Association. And again, fireworks are Wednesday, July 5th at dusk in Clinton. Thanks to an influx of COVID dollars and trying to help absorb the impacts of COVID, a local nonprofit says the last few years, the LIHEAP program has been able to help a lot of people. Brianne Titus is the director of agency development for community action of Central Illinois and indicates the low-income heat and energy assistance program, or LIHEAP, has been able to reach more people than ever before.
So when it comes to federal funding, they will say, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. Typically, that's set by the president's budget for the year. We're going to give you X amount of dollars to provide your program. And then they split it up to percentage of what they're going to pay operationally, which is like your staff, your rent, your ability to provide the program. And then they have what they call client assistance dollars, and they have a percentage for that. Typically with this specific program, we only get 6% of the overall grant funding to do for operational expenses. Okay. And so we're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars in client assistance to pay these energy bills, but we're only getting 6% of our overall budget to pay our staff. Right. And that doesn't give us a lot of money. And so there's not a lot of extra because you're paying for computer service, and you're paying for internet, you're paying for phone, like that's all everything. And so that makes it a little bit difficult to staff, but our staff is dedicated. We have one person in particular who's been with our agency for 30 years. They're dedicated. They know the process. They know what they're doing, and they understand that are respectful to each other to say, like, we've got to work together to make this happen.
Right.
Yeah. Historically, it has been kind of that lineup process. We've actually offered a couple of blitz weeks in the past. So we basically say, like, we're going to be available from 8 to 4. Walk-in appointments, first come, first serve, line up at the door. We'll bring you in. We'll take copies of your documents and we'll just bust them out. We've done that in the past where people have been waiting when we walk in the door every morning. And then way back when they did it by priority period. So the only people that could schedule appointments initially was your elderly population, people with disabilities, and then people with young children in the home.
Okay.
And the general population had to wait. The last couple of years, we've seen different things all over the world because of the pandemic. And a lot of times we saw that people were waiting. They weren't really getting this urgency, like, hey, I need to get my bill paid, because Ameren wasn't shutting off. A lot of the other energy services were not shutting off because of the pandemic. So we had a lot of people that were kind of waiting until the last minute. Well, then they were waiting, and then it was like panic moment.
When the program returns, Titus is encouraging those that will be applying to think about when they want the assistance and get that appointment made early. A change back to before COVID is the return to priority periods.
Kind of be particular about how you're doing that. Are you going to do it in the winter when typically your bill's higher? Are you going to wait when your bill, in October, November, where you possibly could still keep your windows open? Like, be good about how you're deciding when you're going to come in. Be good about that. And I will tell you that coming up this year, they're going back to priority period. That means that the first round of people that can schedule appointments are your seniors, your disabled population, and your people with young children. So general pop is going to have to wait. Many years ago, I would say maybe the last year we did that was 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And so we're shifting back to that. So keep that in mind, that you're not necessarily going to be able to get an appointment right away unless you were fall into one of those categories. So usually what we ask for is them to bring in their most current bill, and then we will go based on that if they have a balance. Now, in some situations, we had an elderly woman who had paid her bill, but she knew looking into it with inflation and such that she was going to be struggling a little bit to pay some of her expenses. And so in her situation, she came in, we were able to qualify her for LIHEAP, and then that was a credit towards her bill.
Okay.
So for basically the next month, she would have a credit towards that bill since she was already paid it down. Some situations happen like that where it's a credit towards your bill. And in some situations, we're basically just paying the balance for you to keep your energy assistance.
I see.
Just remember, October 1st, stay focused on the Facebook page for community action so that we can get that information out to you, and just stay tuned for more info.
As you come in to apply, especially if you need assistance with the capsule office, Titus hopes those applying understand how understaffed they are compared to the demand they get for this program.
I do want to stress that we have 3 full-time staff members that cover 5 counties for this program. And this last program year, we ranked in the 97th percentile. We were in 97% from application to benefit. So we were at almost 100% of the people that we took applications from that received benefit.
Really?
We were at the top in the state for this, and that's for 3 people. So I just, I really tried to think about how from September to May, 3 of our staff members took 425 appointments. So when people are calling and they're upset because we can't get them in, or they're upset because we can't get them in before their eviction, or they're not their eviction, but their disconnection notice, this is why we're doing the best we can with what we have available to us. And we wish we could staff more people, but the funding only allows us to do so much. So just be patient with us over this process, but understand that we have one of the best LIHEAP staffs in the country, or in the state. And we really are doing everything we can to make our customers have the best experience.
And again, October 1st is the return of the next round for LIHEAP. Visit capsule.info for more information, or find your local capsule office for more information. News time is 25 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Monday. Plenty more to get to coming your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.
Looking for a new Silverado? This is Scott Bond from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Yes, we finally have new Silverado inventory. We have Silverados in 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s with several trim levels: custom, LT, RST, LTZ, and yes, high countries. This month, get an extra down payment assistance on all Silverados. Baum Chevrolet Buick. We have inventory. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time is 26 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Monday. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks this morning for this expanded local newscast. Strong winds and heavy rain damaged many fields across central Illinois last Thursday, but for one farmer, it's the worst he's ever seen. Marty Marr is a farmer in New Berlin. Thanks to the high winds, 300 acres of corn is now flat land for him.
Well, it was just about what was getting into the tasseling time and the pollination period. For that those particular fields out there and hybrids. So having it flattened like this really does trim the top end yield potential off of that. We really don't know what kind of potential will be out there yet until we kind of see if much of that corn can straighten up over here in the next couple of weeks. It will be kind of difficult this time because it was a little different stage. Had it been a little shorter, I've seen corn like that recover and elbow back and still go on and be a very, very productive field. But this time, as it might have caught it at a very delicate stage. But we'll see. Might surprise us here at the end of the year when we cross the scale with those elevators, and hopefully there's a respectable yield there waiting for us. But it will be a challenging situation here without some really good weather going forward.
I'm curious, how many acres were impacted?
We've got, I don't know, there's like 250 to 300 acres out in that area that was kind of roughed up pretty good. More in the like 250, I think, would catch a lot of it. But it definitely flattened that corn like I've never seen it for quite some time. We've had that before, but that wide an area, it's something you don't look forward to, and does make a challenging harvest for you there. When fall comes around.
Thankfully, Marr said those fields are insured, so the corn will not be a total loss. Around 300 acres of corn are now flat land on the Marr family farm. News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Monday. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Coming up on 7:30 on this Monday, a look at network sports comes your way. Local sports follows. We get a glimpse into the summer schedule for the high school basketball season. We talked with Clinton basketball coach Vic Binkley last week about what the summer looks like for his team. He speaks with us about that here this morning in sports.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. 2 people killed, 28 injured. A mass shooting in South Baltimore happened early yesterday morning during a block party in the city. Police are hoping tips from the public will help lead them to suspects. They're asking anyone who may have any video of the scene to please send it in. It was early Sunday morning when someone set off explosives outside several businesses in northeast Washington, D.C. There's some property damage, but no injuries. Police are hunting for a suspect or suspects. It's going to be hot, dangerous hot today across parts of the West. Excessive heat warnings up for a wide area of Vegas, Phoenix, Southern California, all expected to see very high temperatures today. And the worst of the rioting may be over in France. Fewer arrests overnight following days of violence triggered by the fatal police shooting of a 17-year-old. More details at srnnews.com.
Talk today.
With SRN Sports, I'm Ron DeRockstra. Down to the greens, where Ricky Fowler made a 12-foot birdie putt on the first playoff hole of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and he outlasted at Colin Morikawa and Adam Hadwin. Fowler says he had a quiet moment after that putt went in.
Yeah, I was kind of just still and quiet, and everyone was going crazy around me. So it was a nice moment just to to kind of feel like the weight on my shoulders was finally off.
The 34-year-old Fowler got his first PGA Tour win since the 2019 Phoenix Open. Bernhard Langer won the U.S. Senior Open Sunday at Century World, breaking the PGA Tour champion's career victory record, pushing his record as the oldest winner on the 15-over tour to 65 years, 10 months, and 5 days. The German star broke a tie with Hale Irwin. And it was Taylor Gooch winning the LIV golf event in Spain by a stroke over Bryson DeChambeau. This is SRN Sports. Down to the field, and the Orioles beat the Twins 2-1. It was the White Sox beating the A's 8-7 as Jake Berger notched his 18th home run of the season. Mariners beat the Rays 7-6. Braves 6-3 over the Marlins. Brewers 6-3 over the Pirates. That's Milwaukee's third straight series win. Nationals beat the Phillies 5-4. Padres fall to the Reds 4-3. Guardians over the Cubs 8-6. Mets double up the Giants 8-4 Sunday night. It was the Red Sox beating the Blue Jays 5-4 for a 3-game sweep on the road in Toronto. Alex Verdugo with a tie-breaking home run in the ninth. Royals beat the Dodgers 9-1. Cardinals 5-1 over the Yankees. Astros beat the Rangers 5-3. Tigers walloped the Rockies 14-9, their 10th win in the last 17 games. Angels 5-2 over the Diamondbacks. Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout going deep in the same game for the 30th time. With SRN Sports, I'm Ron DeRockstra.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. June is somewhat the unofficial second season for high school basketball. Clinton High School varsity basketball coach Vic Binkley was very impressed with the dedication and buy-in he got from his team this summer as they did a lot of competing in Central Illinois and lots of workouts.
You know, we want them to be together. We want to build team chemistry. We want to work on their skills, and we want to teach them some things that they can do on their own. Now, I'm pretty lucky because Clinton High School, Mr. Keppel, he brought in Baumgartner shooting instructors for 2 days, and that is just amazing. And the kids, you know, they got to go and be with a professional shooting instructor for 2 days. He evaluates them. So that's how the summer got started. And then we started having open gyms where we do a lot of skills, a lot of fundamentals. Then we start playing games. And we've been to Jacksonville with the JV and varsity. We've been to Auburn with the JV. We went to Muhammad. We go to the Lincoln League. We've been to the Lincoln tournament. And we're about to finish up. We got one more day of open gyms. And then we're done with basketball for the summer.
For the upcoming 23-24 edition of the Clinton Maroons, size will again be limited, so Coach Binkley says a lot of his focus this summer was guarding teams and opponents with size.
Our kids play awfully hard. I'm so proud of them. I don't know if I've ever had a group of kids that play this hard. They shoot the ball well, you know, but some of the things were not real tall. So we did a lot of things this year trying to guard a big kid. You know, how we're going to guard that, how much help are we going to give. So, you know, we kind of went that direction. We did a lot of individual skills, you know, dribbling and shooting off the dribble, trying to get to the rim. But the main thing is, you know, rebounding. You know, because of our size, we tried to do the things that would help us against bigger teams.
Also part of this summer for Coach Binkley was getting the younger kids engaged in basketball and excited to be a Maroons varsity basketball player. So he hosted a week of camps for youth of a wide range of ages and is very excited about what he saw.
We believe in convincing them kids to get out and play basketball, and the best way to do it is have a fun summer camp, and I think we accomplished that. We had 31 young kids at the afternoon session. You know, that's amazing. The interest, and they had fun. We played games with them. But we shoot. We do a lot of shooting, try to show them how to shoot. We do a lot of fundamentals, and then we let them play some games. We're trying to generate that interest, and that's one of my goals. You know, I don't know how long I'll be at Clinton, but when I leave Clinton, I'm hoping that what I'm teaching them right now will carry on. It's been a great experience for me. We've won a lot of ball games. I never dreamed that we would have won 24 games last year. Our freshmen and JV both won tournaments. And so, it's really been good. But we're trying to teach them younger kids the system. That way, we can keep this thing rolling for years. And that's, it's not about me. It's just about the program. And this year, the varsity, we got to win some championships. We're knocking on the door. We had 3. We got to the championship game in 3 different tournaments, but we never won. So hopefully this year we're going to win a tournament.
Coach Binkley is very excited about the changes at the high school gym and cannot wait for his athletes to get on it and for the community to see it. Heard on WHOW yesterday, Jake Berger hit his 18th home run, and the White Sox held off the Oakland A's 8-7, avoiding a 3-game sweep.
The White Sox came into the game Sunday hoping to avoid a sweep against the last-place A's, and they showed urgency, jumping out to a 5-0 lead in the third, capped by this Zach Remillard single.
Ground ball left side, dived by the third and short, can't get it. Sox will get 1 and try for 2. There it is. C&I single for Zach Remillard, scores 2 for the Sox, and they lead 5-0.
The A's would certainly threaten several times the rest of the way, but in particular in the 9th, as they cut the lead to 1, the Sox would hold on. It's an off day Monday for the Sox. They get back at home Tuesday against the Blue Jays. Pregame at 6:30 right here on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
And here, Tuesday's action right here on WHOW as well. Jordan Montgomery beat the Yankees for the second time since they traded him last summer, pitching the St. Louis Cardinals to a 5-1 win over Garrett Cole Sunday that completed a disappointing 3-3 road trip for New York on a day Yankees manager Aaron Boone was ejected for the 5th time this season. Montgomery allowed an unearned run, 2 hits, 3 walks in 6 2/3 innings. He held the Yankees hitless until Gleyber Torres doubled with 2 outs in the 6th. Giovanni Gallegos relieved after Jake Bauer's 2-out RBI single in the 7th and struck out pinch hitter Billy McKinney. Gallegos walked Oswaldo Cabrera on 4 pitches starting the 8th, then retired his next 3. Jordan Hicks allowed a hit and a walk in the 9th, then retired Kyle Higashioka on a ground out to end a 3-hitter. With the Cardinals ahead 2-1, Brendan Donovan hit a 2-run homer in the 7th off Jimmy Cordero. New York split a 6-game trip that began in Oakland against the big league worst A's and ended at the Cardinals, who are last in the NL Central. Cole allowed 2 runs in 5 innings with 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. Jordan Walker and Andrew Kisner each hit run-scoring singles in the 4th. St. Louis added a run in the 8th when Dylan Carlson stole 3rd and continued home when Higashioka's throw bounced down the left field line for an error. Miles Michaelis faces Braxton Garrett Monday night in the opener of a 4-game series in Miami. Josh Naylor hit a 2-run single in the 10th inning as the Cleveland Guardians regrouped to beat the Chicago Cubs 8-6 Sunday after Emmanuel Clace blew a 4-run lead in the 9th. Aaron Cavalli pitched 3-hit ball over 6 innings after the start of the game was delayed nearly 2 hours by rain. Andres Jimenez homered in the 3rd and scored the go-ahead run in the 10th. Jimenez opened the inning as the automatic runner on second base and moved up on a Med Rosario single. A ground out by Jose Ramirez left runners on 2nd and 3rd before Naylor drove them in with a single up the middle against Adbert Alzolay to put Cleveland on top 8-6. Sam Hentges retired all 3 batters in the bottom half, sending the Cubs to their 6th loss in 7 games. Cleveland had a 6-1 lead in the 8th before Christopher Morel hit a solo homer for Chicago off Trevor Stephan. Drew Smyly tries to bounce back from one of his worst starts this season as the Cubs open a 4-game series Monday afternoon in Milwaukee. Smyly lasted just 3 2/3 innings and matched a season high by allowing 7 runs and 9 hits in Wednesday's loss to Philly. Julio Teheran gets the ball for the Brewers. Shane Van Gisbergen won his first Cup Series on a rainy Sunday in downtown Chicago, chasing down Justin Haley and Chase Elliott in a memorable finish to the series' first street race. After passing Elliott, Van Gisbergen dueled with Haley in the final laps before the three-time Supercars champ moved in for good. Haley held on for second. Elliott finished third. The 34-year-old is a New Zealand native and became the first driver to win his Cup Series debut since Johnny Rutherford in the second qualifying race at Daytona in 1963. He got a chance to drive the number 91 Chevrolet in Chicago as a part of Trackhouse Racing's Project 91. Trackhouse is owned by Justin Marks, and the goal for the project is to give international drivers a shot at NASCAR. Kyle Larson finished fourth in Chicago, followed by Kyle Busch and Austin Cindric. Christopher Bell won the two stages and led a race-high 37 laps, but faded to 18th. The race was scheduled for 100 laps and 220 miles, but it was shortened because of fading sunlight after the start was delayed more than 90 minutes because of a historical rainfall that flooded the course. The last half of the Xfinity race on Saturday was suspended because of lightning and ultimately canceled. There was a massive pileup on the 50th lap that involved 14 cars turning on East Jackson Drive from Michigan Avenue, clogging the course and almost assuredly drawing a smile from regular Chicago drivers familiar with the area. The series heads to Atlanta next weekend. Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields got a closer look at NASCAR Sunday as he served as the Grand Marshal for the Cup Series' first street course race and was impressed. Fields gave the command for drivers to start their engines from the press center after the start of the race was delayed by a historic rain that flooded the downtown Chicago course. The last half of the Xfinity race was set to resume after it was suspended Saturday because of lightning, but was canceled. The 24-year-old Fields, a Georgia native, got a chance to meet a couple drivers as the Grand Marshal, including Bubba Wallace, driver of 2311's number 23. Wallace's team is owned by Denny Hamlin and former Bulls star Michael Jordan. Fields is heading into his third NFL season after he was selected by the Bears with the 11th pick in the 2021 draft. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio weather forecast sponsored by ServPro of Piatt and DeWitt counties, offering cleaning, restoration, and construction.
A blend of clouds and sun today with a slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. High of 86, winds out of the northwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows around 66 tonight. Mainly sunny again tomorrow, 88.
Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Currently, it's 69.
Hello again, everyone. This is Stu Ellis, swinging open the farm gate for you once again today. USDA released its June planted acreage estimate this past Friday and showing corn planted area and acreage this year estimated at 94.1 million acres, up some 6% from last year, and the highest planted acreage in the U.S. since 1944. Soybean acreage for this year estimated at 83.5 million, down 5% from last year, with some soybeans left to be planted somewhere in the 8 million acre range. Those are likely double crop beans after wheat comes out. And the all wheat planted acreage for this year estimated at 49.6 million acres, up 9% from last year. The USDA also released its June grain stocks report. And corn, bean, and wheat stocks are all down compared to June of a year ago. Corn down 6% from last year, soybeans down 18%, wheat stocks down 17%. Corn stocks were 4.1 billion bushels. Of that, 2.2 stored on farms, some 5% higher than last year. So some farmers are still holding on to 2 billion bushels worth of corn. Probably wish they hadn't after June 21st when the market headed down. Soybean stocks listed at just under 800 million bushels, with 300 million of those on farms. So still got quite a few bushels of corn and beans in the bin. How did the market react? Well, December corn, November beans. On Friday, beans soared in response to the USDA reports, nearly 78 cents a bushel for the November contract. According to analyst Jerry Golke, the big question now is how high do soybean prices have to go to ration demand? Soybean market's going to be even more sensitive to weather and yield threats moving forward. December corn down nearly 34 cents a bushel just on Friday, closing below $5. It's gone down $1.30 just in the last 7 sessions. But contract down 93 cents for this last week as it had started to tumble early on with rain beginning to fall and more in the forecast. The revised planted acres number makes a market that was already tight even tighter, as soybeans need to increase yield to encourage more acres to satisfy the growth in renewable diesel that's expected in the future. Added corn acres will be somewhat offset by the lower stocks and potential for yield to fall from the world rain does not come in time. Likely that the market will also now revert to weather as the major issue, as drought has expanded even more. The forecast